You're listening to The Practical Wealth Show with Curtis May.
All right, guys. Hey, welcome to another episode of The Practical Wealth Show. So I have, I'm excited to share with you a fascinating guest. And we're going to talk about real estate today. And so I have Mr. Gary Wilson, the founder and owner of My Investment Services. So let me just give you a little bit of a rundown. So I want you to know who's in front of you today. So Gary retired at age 40, corporate vice president of mergers and acquisitions in national banking. He's completed over 100 transactions a year, consistently every year, without a sales team, assistant, or virtually no marketing costs. So for those of you that are in the real estate business, if you want to perk up and listen, although we're not going to go there that much today, but also, he's developed real estate holding companies. He owns more than 250 rental units. He's a self-made multimillionaire by building a real estate enterprise, including brokerage, rental management, investment services. He's built a real estate business. He eats, sleeps, and dreams real estate, right? And so that's what you want. And he also is the author of 7 books that we're going to list in the show notes. But I'm just going to tell you what they are: Rental Profits Without Pain, Flipping for Profits Without Risk, like that, turning rental properties into real estate profits. Rental profits. Into real estate profits. Okay. Wholesaling for profits. So everybody wins. Investor Agent: How to make money, how to make more money, not work more. The massive passive cash flow method. We might talk about that. I like that. Real estate reality. And we'll have to hit this a second also. The truth behind no money down investing. And he trains, over 20,000 agents. He's appeared on CBS, ABC, Fox News, Business Week. So Gary's a big deal. All right. Just so you know. All right. And so Gary, I thank you for coming on the Practical Wealth Show. What did I not tell him? What do you want him to know about yourself?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks, Curtis, for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to speak and help your listeners. All that sounds great. Sometimes I listen. It's funny when you hear other people talk about yourself. It's like, man, because I honestly, what it feels like for me is I'm just waking up every day, strapping on my boots and putting on my gloves and hitting the ground running.
Right.
And of course, now it's been 30 some odd years, and of course, I've had some success over the years. But I'll be the first to tell you, not everything I did was a success. If I wrote a book on all the failures, it'd be bigger than the book on the successes. But
right.
People would say that's pretty much been the journey. So,
right.
But I did have a lot of help on the way, guys. Anybody listening, I'll be the first to tell you, I didn't get where I am by myself. I mean, my very first mentor wasn't even technically a mentor. It was my college roommate's dad. My college roommate's name was Socrates. And when we graduated, his dad helped us buy our first house. Soc's dad was a Greek immigrant, you probably gather, with a name like Socrates. His dad came to the States, spoke no English, started investing. When we graduated, he said, "You boys, you're not going to rent, you're going to buy." And he helped us buy the first house. And Curtis, he never gave us money. He didn't give us the fish. He taught us how to fish.
Yeah.
And he's pounding his chest at the closing table saying, "If you boys do what I tell you to do, you won't have to work for anybody else when you're 35 years old." It took me till I was 35 to realize I should listen to what he's telling me.
Right.
And that was really my that was for me what gave me the vision to be able to do this and not have to be able to overcome the fear, right?
Yeah.
And be able to take action. So that's probably helps explain how I got started. And the rest, like you said, just kind of falls in place of the years. Hundreds of properties. I mean, I've taught thousands of tens of thousands of investors and agents, but all at the grassroots level. Like, it's very rare to see me on a big billboard. It's just how I do things, So
talk about overcoming the fear for a second, because I find that prevalent. Like, they want to do it, and then it's just like, I've read all these books, I went to a course, and then there's this gap between knowing and doing. And how do you talk people through that, or what strategies do you help people get past that?
It's a great question, because same with me, Curtis, I struggled with that for years. I could learn, understand it, but I was still on the other side of the creek, so to speak.
Yeah.
I was here and success was over there. Now, what I found out was there's 2 types of teaching. There's traditional teaching, which was me in a classroom lecturing and everybody's in the audience listening. okay, arm's length.
Right.
And it's incumbent upon them to actually take action on their own. Now, what mentoring is, what coaching is, see, a good coach, if you ever played basketball, football, baseball in high school, a good coach is going to go to where you are and then walk you back over to where they want you to be, okay? And take you and guide you through the process. So to overcome the fear, you do have to take action. There's two antidotes to fear. It's a combination of faith and action. You got to have some faith. You got to take action. It definitely helps to have somebody help me. Like I had great coaches over the years, great mentors. But the learning, so here's the formula. Here's the formula to success. Number one, 3 variables. You got to have the right education. Everybody listening here, no matter how you slice it, it starts with reading books and moves up from there. Training programs, coaching, masterminds, whatever. Get the education. Number 2, the right information. And the cool thing about the right education, it shows us how to get and use the right information. That's the second variable. The third variable requires you and I to take action. Okay, so education plus information plus action. That's how you overcome fear. Now, the action steps, and this is critical. Everybody put your pens down for a second. Grasp this. Your mind's going to look at the big picture. You're going to say, I want that fourplex. I want that fourplex. And I get it. We want you to have the fourplex. But to get that fourplex is a series of smaller action steps. The trick is to identify what we call the very best next step. What is the very best next step you can take? A great coach is going to have you take a step that has some impact, but little or no risk. Just a phone call, something that's like, you know what, just get outside your comfort zone and pick up the darn phone, right?
Right.
But it doesn't cost anything. The worst going to happen is somebody says no. So that first little action step starts you on the journey to taking future action steps and bigger steps. That's really, I would say, if I could put that in a pill or a magic potion,
right.
I would do that and become a gajillionaire. That is the secret.
Yeah, that's interesting because I will see people and they know stuff and they're like, I go to these, I'm thinking of a mastermind I go to every week and I see people coming and it's a different speaker every week, but they're still stuck, and I have these visions of I'm going to leave my job, I'm going to do this and that, but I'll say, well, what are you going to do tomorrow morning? What could you do? What is that step that you can take? And I find that there's so much information. And because would you say that, okay, that step is dictated by what you want or how you want to do real estate? Like what's your favorite, what's strategy you want to do? Do you want to wholesale? Do you want to speak to that? So because there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. Which way do you, I know, I do a lot of different ways, I want to start with a newbie.
Okay. Well, there's really 2 parts of this. Part A is the practical, tactical, strategic part.
Right.
The second part is the mindset, what's going on inside your heart. Okay.
Yes.
So part A, there's 3 major ways to invest in real estate. You can buy rentals, buy and hold, pick up some single families, some duplexes initially, just get in the game. Second option is you can flip homes. You can also flip multi-unit properties. You can flip any property for that matter. I actually know people that flip cars, luxury high $500,000 cars. So buying and holding rentals, flipping, and the third one is basically wholesaling, which is you're getting something under contract and you sell the contract. You're not actually going to buy the property. You're going to sell the contract to buy the property. And then someone else is going to actually buy the contract from you and then eventually buy the property that's in the contract. So it's called an assignment, and a contract, just like a lease, is actually a commodity that has value. So just briefly, when you see like a corner GetGo or Sheetz or Circle K with a convenience store gas station combination on the corner, just know this, they're typically in a 99-year lease. Okay. Well, as soon as they sign that lease, the owner of the property, in most cases, it's called a triple net lease, is going to sell the lease, get some capital back on that lease, and then whoever bought the lease then gets the monthly rents. So same thing with a sales agreement. A sales agreement is a commodity that can be sold. You're selling the right to buy the property as opposed to selling the property. Okay. So wholesaling is the third way. Now that's the practical, tactical, strategic part. Right. Over here is the heart and the mind combination. And I will tell you this, the best way I can sum it up is this. People will take action when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than their perceived pain of making the change to improve their life.
Mm-hmm.
They get so dang tired of what's going on right now, they just don't do anything to improve their life. And when that becomes powerful enough, it'll help you overcome the fear of making the change that you know you got to take. So that's the part B. That's the, so unfortunately, human nature dictates that the amygdala back here in your brain, the little teeny nugget of your brain,
right?
The reptilian part's designed to keep you from stepping outside the cave. And yet all growth occurs in the imagined part of the brain, the visionary part of the brain. So you got to give yourself permission, have courage to overcome the fear, and tell your amygdala, you know what, I'm going to step outside the cave because I want to hunt down a bigger mastodon. I'm tired of eating worms.
Right, exactly. When you're coaching, because one of the things that we talk about in the show, and I'll talk to our clients about, is that your number one asset is you, right? And you have to invest in your mindset, your skill set, and your network. To your point, the book, and so what's your way of helping people do that? Like your process or some of the things that you have people do in your coaching?
Well, generally what I do is I take it one step at a time. Like I belong to masterminds, some of them are $100,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
But years ago when I first started out, my vision wouldn't let me see that. My brain would not let me grasp that. Right. My brain was telling me, stay inside the cave. So what I learned to do with people is, particularly brand new students, is just start them off small with like a book. Just give them a book. Let them read about the subject to determine if it really is what they want to do by gathering real, honest, and goodness information. Then they should take a training program, basic entry level training 101, flipping properties 101, buying rentals 101, wholesaling 101. Now, what it does for me as the coach is I get to see how they behave in the training program. I get to see there's three things I look for, Curtis, in a student: engagement, commitment, and action. So are they engaging with me and other students? Okay. Are they asking questions, participating, rolling up their sleeves? Are they showing commitment? Are they showing up when they need to show up? Are they doing the assignments? Okay. And the third thing is action. And the action part, that's the key thing. It's either a make or break. If they take action, I can help them. If they won't take action, nobody can help them. Okay.
Right.
So what I do is I start them all small, then have them take training. Training is usually very inexpensive, but it gets them in the game, swinging the bat, getting some basic results. But it also shows me who we call them the 5 that thrives. 5% of the population will actually move forward and freak and crush it. And we call it the 5 that thrives. I'm looking for those 5% to move into coaching. I don't have to sell them coaching. They ask for coaching. Okay?
Yeah.
But that's how I operate. You'll never see me promote coaching because I don't want to coach everybody.
Right.
I only want to coach people who are going to actually take action.
Right.
So I determined that with the training programs are easy because I can help anybody succeed. I've been doing this for 34 years. My gosh, I've just everything is laid out like literally step by step. I mean, you anybody can succeed doing this if you just simply follow the instructions. But that now the highest level, Curtis, is the mastermind level.
Mm-hmm.
I used to run those. I don't do that anymore. It's a lot of work. I don't mind being in masterminds, and I will eventually run one again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things that's a lot of work for a coach to do. If I would do it, I would probably charge $100,000 because I know the masterminds I'm in. I might invest $100,000, but I'll make $4 million. Okay, if you're going to only invest $25,000 in a mastermind, unfortunately, half the people won't produce that. Half of them will go produce more than that. Right. But I found out at the $100,000 level, now you're in with some real action takers, and the stakes are higher, but the rewards are much greater. Okay. So in any case, mastermind, for anybody who's listening, you're not going to see me do a mastermind right now. You can be in a mastermind with me. Right. But I'm going to work with you either at training level, platform level, and maybe eventually coaching if that's what you choose to do based on your results.
We have to talk offline. I just finished an interview and the guy told me you should start a mastermind, so that's like your confirmation of what you just, same thing, and so one of the things that I see when I talk to successful people on the show, they're part of these $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 masterminds. And they work their way up. Maybe they're in a $10,000 one. And then because part of it's one of the things I've realized is that a basic level, sometimes you just have to pay to be in the right room. So a lot of times it's not what you're learning, it's the environment and the people in that room and the strategic alliances you can form, and just that, what you think is possible or impossible. This is a matter of course for them. And you just got to get around people and say, no, all you have to do is this, and this. Oh, yeah. Is that simple? And because they've already done it. That's fascinating. Once you get around that, but you have to grow because you can't. Yeah. The other thing is that you have to, like, I run into people and they're not to call people out, but they're listening to like Dave Ramsey type stuff. And so if you're going to do this, you kind of got to reorient your whole mind around money and finance and move from scarcity to where you want more control of your life. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, if you think about it, Curtis, this is true for you and me and everybody. Our best thinking got us where we are today.
Yes.
Our best thinking got us here. If you want to be at a different place, you've got to think at that level first. Like materially, you are where you are because of your thinking. So if you want to change where you are materially, bigger house, living on the beach, so forth, you've got to think at that level. And the best way to do it is by hanging around people at that level, because you'll kind of catch in, you'll grasp how are they thinking? What are they thinking? And I'll give an example. At the higher levels, we're thinking exponentially. We're not thinking linearly. See, most people think linearly. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. That's great for starting out, which is I would tell you to do that. But when you're ready to go from where you are to the next level, you got to think of that level. And it's a hard thing to grasp, but once you grasp it, you'll never go back. I promise you, anybody listening to this, just know this. Grasp it, do it. Even if you don't understand it, just still do it, because the only way to understand it is to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Last year, I spent $10,000 on like a mastermind for the year, and 3 years. I've had the opportunity to do it for the past 4 or 5 years, but I was afraid to write that check. But I did it, and my revenue doubled, and my confidence doubled of what I learned. And it's like, all right, so as you say this, I'm thinking for myself. See, most of these interviews are Curtis coaching, so I tell people, like, I hope you're listening, because I got a page of notes already. And, but it's like, all right, because I was thinking, I did a lot last year. Let me just relax and just apply the stuff I learned. But now I'm thinking, I got to find another thing to take, to get in a new group, so that I got to keep stretching myself to the next level every year. And so you just kind of confirm that for me. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but that you just coach Curtis. Let's talk about strategies for vertical. Let's say you're doing it a little bit. I got people that are already doing it. And I know one of the things you talk about is to have vertical growth in your portfolio, your real estate portfolio. Yes. So let's talk to them about that. Your philosophy around that.
The real basic strategy here. So most people in the beginning, when you first start investing, they're starting off, we call it flatlining. They're starting off with single families, duplexes, and they're usually using a lot of debt, a lot of leverage. You know the old infomercials, you don't have to have cash or credit. And I get it. I used to do the same thing. But when you really propel and grow vertically, and like I just talked about, being at that next level, thinking at that level, what the great investors are doing, Curtis, and what I learned to do is, it looks like a stair-step approach, okay? So it requires you to not keep buying the same kind or same size property. You've got to go from the duplex to the fourplex, and then go from the fourplex to the eightplex, and then go from the eightplex to the 16plex. It's just a mathematical model. But the point is with each subsequent purchase, you're getting more doors per purchase, more units per purchase. So people always wonder, how the heck do you get thousands of units? My gosh, it would take a lifetime. Like, well, if you're only buying duplexes, that's true. But if you keep buying the next bigger property, eventually you do like I did. And when I bought that, I bought a 78 unit apartment complex. So I jumped up from whatever I had to 78 units. And Curtis, that was the one that really mentally for me got me thinking at that next level.
Got it.
And then the sky was the limit. Okay. And there's so many benefits to this. My gosh, if you study what REITs do, REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust,
Right.
this is what they're doing, guys. They'll buy the property with cash, but the cash is coming from, they'll get like a blanket mortgage. This is what I do. So I'll get a blanket mortgage on my existing portfolio. It encumbers the entire portfolio typically, which sounds like it's risk, but here's the thing. It's actually less risky over time. I'll explain in a minute. So it's set up as like a line of credit, basically commercial line of credit, allows me to extract the equity out in the form of cash to buy the next bigger property. Then I aggressively fix it up, raise the rents, make it more valuable. It's based on something called income approach to valuation.
Okay.
Bigger properties are based on income approach to valuation. So if you increase your rents by say 10%, you may have actually increased the value by 20 or 30 or 40 or 50% because it's based on the net income. You follow what I'm saying? Your costs are generally fixed. As you raise income, it's all padding.
Right. You improve the prop because they think you're forcing appreciation because you're making the property more valuable.
Yes.
And so because what people don't realize, commercial works completely different than residential. Like you're basically looking at comps and and what the neighborhood does and where people are buying it at, but you can make appreciation happen by you improving the cash flow of the property,
Absolutely.
adding washers and dryers, all that stuff to increase the cash flow of the property. That's what you mean. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then what we do is then we get a brand new first mortgage on that new property, pay back the line of credit. Mm-hmm. Now think about this, Curtis. When I pay back that line of credit and I just added another income producing asset to my portfolio, what does that lender do for me on that line of credit?
Increases it. Yeah.
I just gave you one of the biggest techniques in the world of buying big apartment buildings. Now, in the beginning, your next big purchase may only be 16 or 30 units or something, and you can still use that same strategy. Okay, but I promise you, if you force yourself and you discipline yourself to only do that, buy the next bigger property, your path, your growth to bigger wealth and income will be much faster than doing it the old-fashioned duplex way. Okay. So when I learned that was probably the biggest discovery, Curtis, I ever made in real estate investing. That one thing I just told you.
That is huge because so so as I'm thinking about this, I'm going, so guys, if you see my video on the website, we're all in the yellow. So in my video, I go yellow. I have these two tanks in this personal economic model. Yellow tank is investing. Green tank is savings, cash, right?
Yeah.
And so when I talk about investing, I teach our clients there's 4 asset classes: business, real estate, paper assets, and commodities. So we're in the asset class called real estate. And then what Gary has told you is how to get over fear and get started. I just want to recap real quick. How to, this is in my notes, how to begin to start, but then stair step your way up the ladder to the duplex, to the tri, to the quad, to commercial, using, this is where you got to understand money, other people's money, and creating velocity. So it's not about accumulation. It's about creating velocity and using other people's, so taking somebody else's money and buying a real thing, a real, asset, utility value, bricks and mortar, somebody sending you a check every month, that's, so I wanted to, because that is all, I've never heard that before. Okay. Yeah. And that's high finance. That is phenomenal.
It's using you're using creative purchasing techniques, but the difference is you're acquiring the asset based on equity in your own holdings already, and later on you finance the asset when you're in control. So it puts you in control. In the early years, you start off borrowing other people's money because you have to. Generally, you don't have money, so you use other people's money to start off with. So the difference is early on, you're putting other people at risk and not yourself. And as you grow and develop later on, you're putting other people at risk less and putting yourself at risk. But here's the big misnomer: you're really not putting yourself at risk. You're leveraging your own portfolio. You would never leverage more than 50% loan to value. That's one of the rules.
Okay. That's a really important distinction. Okay. I'm glad you said that.
When the storm hits, you're more likely to keep that ship afloat and get it in the shore because you're not going to let your 50% go. You know? So it's like a psychological thing. And when I learned that, I was like, oh, now I understand why they never get into trouble. like in a recession, people leverage up to their eyeballs are the ones that lose their shirt. The people that got solid equity and cash flow, they're okay,
Right. What we add to that mix is I focus people on liquidity, having access to because really, if you have money, you're a creditor, not a debtor, right? Meaning that you have money, but you don't want to use your money. But if the stuff hits the fan, you do have some liquidity that can deal with it, and we just teach our clients to store that in permanent insurance policies. But that is a big deal, and it's thinking about, all right, how can I get out the rat race in 10 years or less? Yeah. Basically building what I call a tangible asset portfolio, real estate, and, having some strategies around that. I want to hit, so much stuff is going through my head right now. I'm trying to rein this in. So let's talk about, there's specific, I want to go to all of them, but so within that asset class called real estate, I'm going to read them off, but I don't want to go into all of them. I just want to, I want people to think, when you're thinking that, it's a big thing. So there's buy and hold, there's flipping, there's wholesaling, there's Airbnb, right? There's non-medical assisted living. That's interesting. There's self-directed IRAs, trusts, 1031 exchanges, and tax strategies, right? So there's a lot to cover. So we're going to get you back on. So there's a lot to cover under that. But pick something that's exciting to you right now within that list that you think listeners they're sleeping on, that could be opportunity for them.
I got to tell you guys, it's non-medical assisted living. So I first picked up on this a couple years back. I was a speaker on the National Rio Cruise, okay? And I met a guy from Arizona. He was already done. I had the idea because I saw it in my own neighborhood, but I thought, okay, well, it's just a doctors, it's a medical thing. It's not. It's non-medical assisted living. So it started off in the Arizona area. Now I'm in Florida right now. I'm in West Palm Beach here for 8 days, and beautiful. And it's here now. That's actually partly why I'm here. Mm-hmm. So what I would encourage your listeners to do is gather information on that. Okay. And the reason is that developmentally, it's at the same stage that Airbnb was like 10 years ago. So it's the early embryonic stages of development. But here's why you want to pay attention to this, Curtis. The folks the tenants, the residents of non-medical assisted living, they don't need medical assistance. They don't want to be in a nursing village with all these other old people. They want to be in a place where they just don't want to cut grass and shovel snow and fix stuff. They want to hike, bike, travel, kayak, do whatever. And they're perfectly healthy. They want to come and go as they please. They want a nice home. They want to be in a neighborhood, an actual neighborhood, like they lived in their whole life. And they'll pay $3,000 a month for a room, because otherwise they're going to pay way more than that for a nursing village type place. Okay. And in a lot of the places I've seen are successful at this, they have high-end properties. I mean, columns in the dining rooms and granite and beautiful kitchens. And some of them even offer high-end concierge services. Like they'll have a chef prepare meals for them one couple nights a week. They'll do their laundry. They'll walk their dogs. When they take care of dogs when they go on vacation. Non-medical assisted living, I mean, I'm getting like $12,000 a month for a house that I would normally get $3,000, and I don't have all the regulations that you do with medical.
So you could do it. So stop there. You could do a nice house you could buy a high-end home in a nice area, let's say, and do what you're talking about, basically.
Yeah. Now you have to check on zoning and occupancy, but the answer is yes. There are areas so let you have up to 6 people. Some will let you have up to 4. Generally speaking, Curtis, you want to have like a ranch style house. Hammer ranchers do good with this type of platform.
Because when you were first talking, I was thinking about, like a community. Like I got to develop this community with all these condos and, like the stuff you see. But you're saying, no, if you can find a ranch location, you could, add some amenities to it, make it a high-end rooming house.
That's it, man. They want their own bathroom. They want their own bathroom.
Right.
Okay? Yeah.
That is fascinating. Yes, guys. So look, that's gold, because I've never heard that. It's 2 things I never heard before. All right.
Amen.
Give me one more.
I do like Airbnb. Okay. Mm-hmm. But now there's been some big pushback from the hotel motel industry through lobbyists and things like that. And a lot of owner associations are pushing back on it, that kind of thing. But here's the thing about Airbnb. If you can be in an area that has where you can attract the combined client of a business traveler and destination traveler, destination being like, I'm here in West Palm Beach, oceanfront suite for 8 days. I'm a destination traveler, but I'm also here on business. Okay. So what I'm getting at is those areas you can command a higher nightly rate. And I'm going to just tell you this, I'm not an attorney. Okay. And I'm not saying I do this, but I know students who will buy Airbnb in areas that have restrictions on Airbnb, and it's so profitable, they'll still do it and pay the fines and the penalties because the profits are great.
Wow.
But they got the magic combination of being able to attract the business traveler and the destination traveler. That's the key right now to Airbnb. If you only have one or the other, you're going to be limiting yourself. If you can attract both, like the coast of California, Florida, obviously destination areas year round. Oh, by the way, the third thing, it has to be year round. Okay. This won't work as well up in Cape Cod because in the wintertime, it's a ghost town, right? Nobody's going to go there.
Right, exactly.
But if you're in a 12-month year-round destination area that it has some business component to it, that's where I'm doing Airbnb.
That is fascinating. I have one more topic. One more question I want to squeeze in that I think could be a whole show. But I want to broach it here because I want to set up because we're going to do another one. Creative purchasing and exit strategies for professionals and business owners who want to invest in real estate. I think that's a lot because, one of the things I teach, if you look at the Forbes 400, people on that list do not get there maxing out their 401k. What happens is that what I've found, my fastest path to cash is my business, right? And then I take the profits and invest in real estate. That's kind of like my wife and I personal philosophy, or learning philosophy. I'm still, that's why I like talking to brilliant people like you, but I like that. Can you talk about your philosophy and maybe some thoughts along that lines for, business owners that are trying to build economic independence outside the business?
Subject.
Yeah.
Great subject. So Curtis, I've been blessed in my life to be able to meet some really amazing people. One of them is Robert Kiyosaki. Came to my mastermind group almost 5 years ago. And we talked about this exact same subject. And I said, Robert, I just want to tell you, I spent a lifetime building up a portfolio of rental properties, but it turns out I'm actually having even more success with businesses. And he said, you're absolutely right. He said, if you look at the cash flow quadrant, most people move from E and S, employee and self-employed over to the investor side, the I side.
The I, yes.
Yep. Very few people do the B side, which is build businesses. And he said, think about this, Gary. The real estate is not the end game. It's the foundation upon which you can launch other businesses that you really do like, So I've built 7 businesses over the years and have merged or sold most of them. But here's what I figured out, Curtis, for all the listeners out there who have a practice, like a chiropractic practice, a dental practice, whatever. If you own a business, that business itself is leverageable. You can get a business loan on your business, and you can use that business loan to fund an LLC, another business, whose purpose is to buy real estate. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, wow. Okay. Yep.
You leverage your business to capitalize an LLC that buys real estate. And then you can do the same thing in reverse. As your real estate holdings grow, you can pull money out of that to go back to your business and maybe buy other practices, other offices. I know people that do this today, dentists. I mean, I've done it myself personally. I just didn't have like a big plan or whatever. But I met other people doing it, and it really is structure to it. And it's so remember this. The real estate is the foundation upon which you can build other businesses. And as a result, you can leverage the one against the other, your business, your practice, for example, to buy real estate and vice versa. So the difference is you can retire from your business and your real estate is going to sustain you in your retirement.
Yeah.
The thing with the dental practice is if you don't build it up to be a big practice, and you're just an individual provider, when you retire, your business dies.
Right.
Okay. So you better have some real estate under your belt if you have a practice like that,
Yes. And so it could be dental practice, it could be chiropractic, it could be a real estate. I know that their background. I have a financial services practice. It could be big network marketer. I mean, because the other part of that is that what is I had a conversation with Tom Wheelwright at a conference. Said, listen, the 4 asset. What happens is when you look at the cash flow quadrant, well, the tax favor the B&I side, and what does the government want you to do? Build businesses, provide housing, provide energy, and provide food.
That's
so,
it.
you know what I mean? If you got a kid, so I said, listen, if you have a McDonald's, if they make $1 million or $100 million, and then they have $100 million worth of real estate, and you have depreciation that offsets the cash flow, and you wonder why they don't pay taxes, because they just are following the laws, not they're doing anything wrong. And
That's
so,
absolutely true.
We have to learn. I always tell people, don't hate the player, hate the game, right? And don't even hate the game. You just need to learn how to play the damn game.
That's exactly right. You're hitting the nail on the head, man.
Yeah. So don't get me started, because we can I can go off on a serious tangent on that. But oh my God, there's so much stuff I want to talk about. So listen.
Yeah,
we're going to schedule another talk, because I could do a whole episode on that. I want to do a whole episode on that. And
that would get me excited.
Yeah. And so I almost want to throw in helping. We'll do another. I see 2 episodes, because I want to talk about you help you help real estate agents talk to. Right. I like that topic also. So I think that's fascinating. So Gary, what my listeners know I get very excited. So now my head is racing. I don't know where to go, because I'm so excited about talking to you. But let's kind of wind it down. What maybe a couple of ideas that you of people, next steps, and then what's a good way, like if they wanted to reach out to you, I know you're not doing masterminds, but how can they where would you have them go if they wanted to get more on Planet Gary?
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Plus, I do have to get going, because I got to go to a teacher class. But so I still do teach, like you were mentioning, I teach real estate agents. What I do is I teach the agents how to work with us investors. Mm-hmm. So we have a service partner out there in the field. Of course, that's what I'm doing here later today. But in any case, if anybody wants to just get some free information, I've done literally hundreds of videos, and I've got 3 books in the hopper, total of 10 books. I've written little miniature, little special reports and things like that. If they just want to go to myinvestmentservices.com, on the homepage right up front, we give them like any one of 5 or 7 little short 5 or 10 page little sort of like manifestos, just to get somebody's mindset in the right place as far as the tactical stuff goes. Like, what's one thing they can do? Right. All right. So they can just grab that, and if that's all they want to do, that's all they have to do. There's no other thing they have to do. Just get it for free. But you can also go to the My Investment Services YouTube channel, subscribe to that, and then you get all those videos. And there's short 2-3 minute videos. Some are 10 minutes, some are a half hour. But people get a lot of insight there. And then, of course, the podcast is Real Estate Investing for Professional Men and Women. They can go there and subscribe to that. But those are great ways for people just to get started, just to get in the game swinging the bat. That's the main thing, guys. I'm not trying to tell you to join a mastermind. I just tell you, get in the game and swing the bat, and this is how you do it. Go grab the information and just get started on that. It doesn't cost anything.
Yep. Okay. So great. We'll do that. We're going to put links to your stuff in the show notes. Gary, this is awesome. I tried to squeeze as much out of you as I could in this interview, but this is a 2-parter. Yeah. So listen, I want to thank you, Gary. And you got to get out here and go teach a class. I appreciate your time with spending some time with us today. And we got to keep this going, because there's a lot more conversation to have about this. And thank you. Enjoy Florida. I'm jealous, because it's not actually super cold here in PA, but it's not Florida. And so listen, guys, you take notes, check out Gary's YouTube channel, and thank you for listening to the Practical Wealth Show. And I hope you enjoyed it. And Gary, thanks again. And everybody have a great day.
You're welcome, Curtis. God bless you, and God bless all the listeners out there, too. You have a wonderful day.
All right, you too. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening to Practical Wealth. To access the show notes and resources, go to practicalwealthshow.com. To get your questions on the show, go to practicalwealthshow.com. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before you make any investment decisions, consult a professional. This show is copyrighted by Practical Wealth. Written permission must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting.